Over 50 and still wondering why your shoulder hurts? Let's go over some basic anatomy. You must understand the shoulder is unique because unlike other joints, this little collarbone is the only bony attachment the entire shoulder has to the body. So in order for it to be stable and functional, to reach overhead, reach behind, do all the things that the shoulder needs to do, it requires a lot of muscular stability. So if I layer on those muscles, you can see just how many muscles begin to play a part in our shoulder function. Over 50, the most common injury is a rotator cuff tear. And it's often not because of something traumatic, something like a fall or a sports injury. It's usually I woke up one day and my shoulder started hurting and now I have pain. It's usually 90% of the time some kind of tear along these rotator cuff muscles. This one's called the supraspinatus. About 70% of the time it's exclusively a supraspinatus tear. 90% of the time it's a combo of the supraspinatus and the infraspinatus. That's these two muscles that sit on the back side of the shoulder joint. So often folks will say it hurts either on the backside or it'll hurt like down the arm bone. I've had some folks even tell me my shoulder doesn't hurt but my arm bone does. That's always a referred pain pattern from the rotator cuff. A lot of people ask what is the rotator cuff, and this is it. The rotator cuff are these four muscles, 1, 2, 3, and then this one that sits on the front. This is like if I were to flip over my shoulder blade like a pancake, you would get to this backside, and that is the subscapularis muscle, which is the fourth rotator cuff muscle. You can see if we zoom in on the skeleton on the front, you can see where it is, but when we layer on muscles, it gets buried, so we don't see it anymore. Those four muscles make up the rotator cuff and are the cause of so much shoulder pain and dysfunction. The reason why people over 50 are particularly susceptible to injury here is because of previous injury, number one, but also a reduction or reduced blood flow to the shoulder as we get older. Because blood flow to the shoulder gets worse, it takes longer for these little injuries to repair. That becomes a problem because as these are injured, these rotator cuff muscles get injured, you can see how they're largely responsible for the function of our shoulder. Over 50 and shoulder pain is waking you at night, you have a rotator cuff problem. This is the rotator cuff. From the front view, you can see where the shoulder sits right in on this little socket of a joint. The rotator cuff is a series of four muscles that holds that ball on the socket. The first one is the subscapularis, which is this one in the front. The next three are on the top and back side. This is supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. These four muscles make up your rotator cuff. 90% of all rotator cuff tears are a combination of either supraspinatus or infraspinatus. 70% are exclusively supraspinatus, and most commonly because of this bony hood over top and this arm bone. As we raise our arm overhead, we'll pinch, and repetitive pinching over top creates wear and tear and breakdown of the muscle tissue and tendon right across the top of that arm bone. There's this little gap called the subacromial space, where if we take those muscles away, you can see where this space is right here. If we put the muscles back in, you can see where the muscles slide right underneath this bone, and the more overhead reaching we do, the more wear and tear and breakdown we get. That is why rotator cuff injuries are so common, especially over the age of 50, and for folks who have done a lot of labor, a lot of work, a lot of overhead reaching with their arms. This exercise strengthens your supraspinatus and your infraspinatus, two of the most commonly torn rotator cuff muscles. The first exercise is going to help strengthen that supraspinatus or top muscle, as well as part of the infraspinatus. Get a small soup can or a 1 pound weight is plenty. And what you're going to do is cross, if this is my painful shoulder, I'm going to cross over in front like I'm reaching for my opposite pocket. I'm going to keep my thumb up because I'm going to help you see visually what's going to happen next is I'm going to reach out into this V or oblique plane and rotate my thumb up. So I go thumb down to opposite pocket and then I reach thumb up into this V plane. I say V plane, different from straight out in front and straight out to the side. So I'm looking for that 45-degree or in between plane. So rotate thumb down and then rotate thumb up and go to about 90 degrees or pain-free range with my thumb up and then rotate back down. We're going to do 2 sets of 15 reps, to fatigue and before pain. A little bit of muscle pain or muscle working, we're okay with that, but we don't want symptom pain. Try and stay smooth and steady throughout each movement as you rotate your thumb up and elevate your arm to that 45-degree oblique plane. If you want to do both sides, just to help with prevention on the other side, I highly recommend it. These are muscles that are often neglected, they don't really get strengthened, and as we get older, our strength across our body goes down. And so it's vitally important for shoulder health to do these exercises from a prevention standpoint as well. This exercise, you're gonna need a little bit of wall space. So step back far enough to where you reach for the wall and you have to lean into the wall. So we're actually loading our shoulder. The shoulder is unique in this circumstance because now we're requiring all the scapular stabilizers, all the shoulder stabilizers, everything to be turned on. Everything's got to be active when we load it this way. So it's unique. And what we're going to do from here is I want you to think about this motion here as I push away from the wall. You're going to push away from the wall, hold it there, and then bring your healthy shoulder towards the elbow of your injured arm. And then you're going to push away your body from the wall. Now I'm doing this all from my shoulder. I'm not doing this from my trunk. You're going to feel all the muscles in that shoulder working to push away your body and to keep your shoulder stable. Do 2 sets of 15 or to fatigue and before pain, as in symptom pain. We're okay with some muscle discomfort. We're okay with some muscle burning, muscle fatigue. We're okay with that. We don't want to reproduce more and more symptom pain, the hurt, achy, sharp, kind of deep, dull, stabby pain that you feel. Push away. So it's a rotation and push away. 2 sets of 15. Over 50 with chronic shoulder pain and rotator cuff issues, this exercise will help you sleep at night.